So listen, I don't usually talk about this, not because I'm trying to be mysterious or dramatic or anything like that. It's just weird. And even I don't really believe it happened the way I remember. But it did happen. Something happened, and no one in my family ever believed me. Not even now. Anyway, let me back up. This was back in 2011. I was 13, maybe 14 in 8th grade, living in a little town called Maple Hollow. Just trees, brick houses, and not a lot else. My cousin Andy was staying with us for a while because his mom had moved out of state and he didn't want to go. He and I shared a weird sibling energy, close enough to fight, close enough to talk about stuff we didn't tell our parents. That day was just a regular Tuesday. Cold, gray sky. You could smell winter coming. I came home from school, dumped my backpack on the couch, and wandered into the kitchen. Andy was there making a sandwich. I grabbed a soda and totally randomly asked, "Hey, you believe in ghosts?" Andy didn't even look up. "Nope, ghosts are fake," he said, mouth full of peanut butter. "Why?" "No reason," I said, but I had a reason. I planned on telling him something I'd kept to myself for a long time, something that happened the year before. But I was nervous, so I eased into it. "Did you ever, try to scare me when I used to come home from school?" I asked. Andy shrugged. "Only time I remember messing with you was that one time I shot a Nerf dart at your face while you were watching cartoons." I laughed a little, but that wasn't what I was thinking of, not even close. Because what I remembered wasn't funny at all. It happened last year, early in the school year. I came home from school around 3:30. The house was quiet. Mom had texted me saying she and Dad were working late, and Andy had gone to hang out at Jared's place down the road. That meant I had the house to myself. I remember thinking, nice, I can chill. I went straight to my room, dropped onto the bed, and popped in my earbuds. I was watching this old YouTube video, some let's play of a horror game I can't remember now, and snacking on a bag of pretzels. Just normal stuff. About 20 minutes later, I paused the video and headed to the bathroom. Now you gotta understand the layout of the house or this won't make sense. Our house was split level. From the bathroom, if you turn left, you get this short hallway that leads to what used to be Andy's room. If you turn right, there's a staircase that goes down in 2 sections with a landing in the middle and leads to the front door. Also, we had this super old school alarm system. Anytime someone opened a door or a window, a robotic voice would announce it. "Front door, open." Like that. So I'm in the bathroom right about to flush when I hear this thud, like something heavy dropped in Andy's room. I froze. I figured maybe he came back early and dropped his backpack or something. So I flushed, washed my hands, and waited for more noise. Nothing. Like completely silent. That's when the weird feeling kicked in. You know how you can just tell when something's off? My stomach clenched. My arms felt cold even though the heater was on. The silence wasn't normal. It was too heavy, like the whole house was holding its breath. I quietly reached for the bathroom door and locked it, just in case. I stood there listening. No movement. No voices. I didn't have my phone with me, and the house phone was on the wall outside the bathroom. It made this loud beeping when you dialed, and I didn't want to make any sound. Then I heard it, whispering. Not loud. Not even angry. Just low, steady muttering, like someone was talking to themselves in the next room. It was coming from Andy's room. Except Andy wasn't home, and it didn't sound like him anyway. The voice was deeper, slower. You ever hear someone speak with gravel in their throat? It was like that. I couldn't understand any words, but I could pick out sounds, sharp S and hard T sounds that felt too close, like the voice was slithering under the door. And then, footsteps. Heavy, dragging footsteps. I swear on everything. The steps came out of Andy's room and started moving down the hall, toward me. Not running, not sneaky, Just slow, steady, like whoever it was knew I was there and didn't care if I heard them coming. I backed away from the door so fast I nearly slipped. My back hit the towel rack. I covered my mouth, trying not to breathe. The footsteps stopped just outside the bathroom. I heard one long, slow exhale from the other side of the door. And then nothing. I stayed like that, frozen for at least a minute. Then the footsteps started again, this time heading toward the stairs. I heard them reach the landing, crash, like someone dropped their whole weight on the step, then another crash at the bottom. Then silence. Then the front door creaked open. The alarm spoke. Front door, open. Front door, closed. My heart was pounding so loud I thought maybe it could hear me. I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. I just stood by the sink, hand gripping the doorknob, unsure whether to open it or not. And then, just as I started to think I was safe, I heard something else. Bang, 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 coming from below. From the laundry chute. You remember those little metal doors in some old houses where you can drop your dirty clothes down to the laundry room? We had one in the hallway about 2 feet off the ground. It led straight to the laundry room in the basement. Something was slamming into it from below. Not just tapping, jabbing, like someone had a broom handle or a stick and was trying to force it open. The little door started to shake. The metal made this awful rattling sound. I could see it from the crack under the bathroom door, shuddering on its hinges like it was about to burst open. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. And then, silence again. I don't remember how long I stayed in that bathroom. Could have been 15 minutes. Could have been 2 hours. But eventually I crept out, tiptoed back to my room and grabbed my phone. Tried calling my mom. No answer. Dad? No answer. Sat on my bed, gripping the door handle until I heard their car in the driveway. They walked in, laughing about something from work. I ran to them, shaking, and told them everything. They didn't believe me. Mom said I must have been dreaming. Dad said maybe I heard the house settling. Andy got home an hour later and laughed when I told him. "Dude," he said, "you freaked yourself out. It's an old house, pipes make noise." I was about to drop it. I was ready to just feel dumb and move on, until Andy said something that made my blood go cold. He said, yeah, the attic above my room is creepy sometimes too. Like, I used to hear stuff up there, but it's just raccoons or whatever. I blinked. "What attic?" He stared at me. "The attic in the ceiling panel, in my closet." "You didn't know?" I didn't. I slept with the lights on for a week. Even now, I don't have a good explanation. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe it was stress or a dream I confused with real life. But it felt real. The voice, the footsteps, the banging. The way that house felt suddenly wrong, like it didn't belong to us anymore. No one ever broke in. Nothing was stolen, but something was there that day, and I don't think it ever really left. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night and think I hear footsteps upstairs, but we don't have an upstairs, just the attic. And I never, ever open the laundry chute anymore. Thanks for listening. Just don't ask me to tell it again. Every time I do, it feels like something starts listening. Hey, so this is a true story. Or at least I swear it felt real. My name's Maya, and this happened back in 2011, when I was 15. I was living with my Aunt Lisa in this old apartment complex called Maple Ridge Towers out in Claybrook, a small, forgettable town in upstate New York. You probably haven't heard of it. Most people haven't. But trust me, there's something about small towns that makes weird stuff even creepier. Our apartment was nothing special. Tiny, drafty, and always smelled like boiled cabbage no matter how many candles we lit. It was up on the 6th floor, almost all the way at the end of a long, flickering hallway. The kind where the lights always buzz and one bulb's always blinking like it's part of some haunted house attraction. And right at the very end of the hall, in the last apartment, lived Mr. Emmett. We didn't know his first name. Nobody did. People in the building just called him Mr. Emmett or that guy at the end. He was this thin, silent man in his late 60s, maybe 70s, super pale skin, grayish-white hair that stuck to his head like it was painted on, and these cloudy blue eyes that never seemed to blink. What made him really weird wasn't just his look. It was how he always sat outside his apartment door. I'm not kidding, always. Rain, snow, heat wave, didn't matter. He'd be perched on this narrow wooden bench, arms folded, staring down the hallway like he was waiting for something, or someone, and every time I passed him, he looked at me, just me. Even if I was with my aunt or carrying groceries or rushing past with headphones in, his head would turn slowly and those pale eyes would follow me. My Aunt Lisa wasn't one to gossip, but even she told me, stay away from that man. Don't look at him. Don't talk to him. Don't give him anything. I always listened. Mostly. But then one day it changed. I was coming back from school, headphones in, hoodie up, just trying to ignore him like usual. But as I reached our door, I heard him say, "Hello, Maya." I stopped in my tracks. I hadn't told him my name ever. I turned, thinking maybe he was talking to someone else. But nope. He was looking right at me like he knew something I didn't. No smile. No emotion. Just staring. I mumbled something like, "Hi," and rushed inside. That night, I asked my aunt if she ever mentioned my name to Mr. Emmett. She shook her head and made a face. Of course not. Why? I didn't tell her. I didn't want to sound paranoid. A few days later, she got called in to work an overnight shift at the nursing home. That meant I'd be home alone until morning. No big deal, right? I'd done it before. Made some ramen, watched horror movies, scrolled my phone until my eyes hurt. I got back home around 9 p.m. and sure enough, Mr. Emmett was on his bench. This time, he didn't just stare. He spoke. "Is your aunt working tonight?" I froze. He said it casually, like he was asking about the weather. But something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. Still, like an idiot, I just nodded. I didn't want to be rude. He nodded back, slowly, and didn't say another word. I got inside, locked the door, and put the chain on for good measure. I tried to shake it off. Took a shower to clear my head. That's when I heard it, a weird, low grumbling sound, like a throat clearing, but deep and raspy. Not loud, but close. I paused, shampoo in my hair, listening. Maybe it was the pipes? This building was ancient. Stuff groaned and clanked all the time, but then I heard it again. This time it sounded like it came from inside the apartment. I shut the water off, wrapped myself in a towel, and stepped out quietly. My heart was thumping in my ears. Another noise, a soft creak, like a floorboard shifting. I grabbed the hairdryer, the only weapon in reach, and tiptoed to my room. I didn't find anyone, but I did find something. Near the corner of my room, low on the wall behind my laundry basket, I noticed a tiny hole, just big enough to fit a pencil through. I bent down, leaned in, and peeked through it and froze. On the other side of that hole was an eye wide, unblinking, and staring straight back at me. I screamed, loud. Scrambling back, I knocked over the basket and hit the wall behind me. My heart felt like it was about to explode. That wall, on the other side, that was Mr. Emmett's apartment. I ran to the bathroom, checking every inch of the tile, and sure enough, there was another hole. Same size, same shape, hidden right where the wall met the shampoo shelf. That grumbling sound, that creak, that was him, watching me. I called Aunt Lisa, sobbing. I couldn't even get the words out at first. She kept saying, What happened? And I finally told her. Then came the knock. Not just a soft knock, a pounding. Our front door shook with each hit. It was him, Mr. Emmett. He was yelling through the door. "Open up! Open this door right now!" I didn't do anything. You don't understand. He sounded panicked and furious. My aunt screamed through the phone, "Do not open that door. Hang up with me and call the police right now. I'm coming home," so I did. I dialed 911, voice shaking. I could barely explain what was happening, but the dispatcher stayed calm and said someone was on their way. And sure enough, within 5 minutes, I heard sirens. Mr. Emmett stopped banging the second those flashing lights hit the windows. I watched him shuffle quickly back to his door, disappearing into his apartment like a shadow. The police showed up. I let them in, shaking and still wrapped in a towel. I showed them the holes, explained everything, and they went next door. He denied it, of course. Said he didn't know anything about holes or eyes or weird noises, but the cops weren't stupid. They found a small hand drill in his apartment and, get this, a notebook. Inside were pages and pages of notes about me, stuff like Maya comes home around 4 p.m. and she showers late on Fridays and made me want to throw up. They arrested him right there. My aunt got home an hour later, and she cried when she saw me. We pressed charges. The building patched the holes, changed our locks, and told us Mr. Emmett was permanently evicted. We never saw him again, but sometimes I still wonder, what if I hadn't seen that hole? What if I hadn't called my aunt? What if I had opened the door? And the scariest part? One of the officers told us they found 3 more holes behind the wallpaper in my bedroom, all pointing toward different angles, all pointing toward me. So, this happened in the summer of 2007. I was 19 and my cousin Riley invited me to go camping with him and his girlfriend Emma. I wasn't much of an outdoorsy type, but I figured, why not? Riley and I were super close growing up. He practically lived outside, always hiking, building forts, starting fires in the backyard, some on purpose, some not. The guy's been obsessed with survival stuff since he was a kid. They were heading to this place called Black Hollow Woods in northern Maine. Not a real campsite. Just deep woods Riley swore were perfect because they were remote, quiet, and, in his words, untouched. That should have been my first red flag. I got the invite last minute, packed a bag, and rode up with them in Riley's old red pickup. The whole ride up, he was hyping up the spot like it was some secret paradise. Emma mostly stayed quiet, looking out the window. She was new in our lives then. Sweet, kind of shy. I could tell she wasn't as gung-ho about camping as Riley was either, but she was along for the ride. It took 3 hours to get there. By the time we turned off the main road, we were surrounded by nothing but pine trees and shadows. Riley suddenly pulled off onto this nearly invisible dirt trail. No sign, no markers, just forest swallowing the path. He was like, this is it, and kept driving like it was totally normal. No GPS, just memory. After a few minutes of bouncing over roots and rocks, he parked in a little clearing that honestly looked like somewhere people go to bury bodies. He turned off the engine and smiled. We're here. I wasn't even sure we were allowed to camp there, but Riley was already unloading the truck. We had 2 tents, sleeping bags, a cooler full of sandwiches and beer, and the basics: flashlights, toilet paper, bug spray. Riley had brought more than usual, he said, because he wanted to ease us into it. The first few hours were actually okay. Riley handed out tasks. He told me to pitch both tents since I'd done it in Scouts years ago. Emma stayed back with me, unpacking and trying to make our weird patch of dirt feel cozy. Riley kept vanishing into the woods to find firewood, coming back with these small bundles like some kind of pioneer. But when the sun started going down, the vibe shifted. It got dark fast, like someone flipped a switch. Riley had enough wood to start a decent fire, and we all sat around it eating sandwiches and drinking warm beer. At first it was fun. We swapped dumb childhood stories. Emma laughed along, but I could tell she was getting tired of being the third wheel while Riley and I went down memory lane. Eventually, she called it a night and went to her tent. Riley and I stayed up for a while, chatting and watching sparks float up into the night. Then out of nowhere he stopped talking. He leaned forward, squinting into the trees. Shh! Listen, I froze. For a second I didn't hear anything. Then I caught it, footsteps. Off in the distance. Slow, steady, crunching over dry leaves and twigs. What is that? I whispered. Riley shrugged. Probably a deer. I tried to laugh. What if it's a bear? He shook his head. Bears don't like fire, and they don't move like that. I waited for him to say something else, but he didn't. The footsteps didn't go away. They started circling us, never getting super close, but never going away either. Just pacing in the dark. My stomach started to twist up. I looked at Riley, and even he looked unsettled. Then we heard it. Click, 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 grr. It was low, like a growl being dragged through gravel, followed by this weird, unnatural clicking sound.
Not fast, not loud, just steady.
It sent chills down my spine. What the hell is that? I asked. Riley didn't answer. He just nodded toward the tents. I grabbed my flashlight and ducked into mine without saying a word. I zipped it shut and curled up in my sleeping bag, trying not to breathe too loud. The fire outside was still burning low, casting these dancing shadows across the tent walls. That's when I saw it. A huge dark shadow passed right by my tent. Tall. Way too tall. It moved like a person, but the shape was wrong. The arms were long, the legs stiff, and the head too small. It looked like something trying to walk like a person, but not quite pulling it off. Thud. Thud. Click. Grr. It walked toward Riley and Emma's tent. I couldn't move. My hands were shaking. I was trying not to sob, then came the scream. Emma's scream. It wasn't just fear, it was terror. Like her soul was being ripped out of her body. I shot up just as Riley started shouting, "Run! Go, run!" I burst out of my tent and saw them tearing through the woods. I ran after them, branches whipping my face, no light, just blind panic. I was in the back and I could hear it, whatever it was, charging behind me. Heavy steps snapping branches, that horrible clicking sound getting louder and closer. By some miracle, Riley led us back to the truck. We all dove in, Emma crying, Riley gasping, me looking back like it might grab my ankle. Riley started the engine and floored it. The headlights lit up the trees ahead and nothing else. Just endless black forest. We sped down the trail until dead end. There was nowhere to go. Trees thick on every side. Riley swore, shifted into reverse, tried to turn the truck around, but the trail was narrow. He had to do this 3-point turn nonsense, going forward and back, while we sat there like sitting ducks. I yelled at him to turn off the light so it wouldn't see us. He said, "If I do that, I'll hit a tree and we're really screwed." So he kept the lights on. I'll never forget sitting in the back seat staring out the window, just waiting for that thing to reappear. Every shadow looked like it could move. Every sound made me jump. Finally, Riley got the truck turned around. He floored it and we tore out of Black Hollow like demons were chasing us. We didn't stop until we hit pavement. We left everything behind. Tents, sleeping bags, food. Easily a few $100 worth of stuff. Not one of us even mentioned going back for it. Later, when we were back at Riley's place, shaking and trying to calm down, Emma told us what had happened. She'd been lying in the tent half asleep when she heard breathing. Not soft, not human. It was raspy and fast, like whatever it was excited. Then something started pressing against the side of the tent. Slowly, like it was feeling around. Then it yanked at the fabric like it was trying to rip it open. That's when she screamed. To this day, Riley swears he has no idea what that thing was. He's been in the woods 100 times and he says he's never seen or heard anything like it. It walked on 2 legs, but it wasn't human. It wasn't an animal. It was something else. And no, it wasn't a prank. No one else knew we were out there. There was no one else for miles. No roads, no houses, no other campsites. Sometimes I think about how close it got, how it walked right past my tent, how if we'd stayed a few seconds longer. Everyone has at least one story that makes their skin crawl, that one thing they can't explain. That night in Black Hollow Woods, that's mine.